Welcome, everybody. Drum Education Live, episode number 76. And today we have the one and only Pat Petrillo.
Thank you. Thank you. Might, I might have a double somewhere. You never know.
You might have Pat Petrillo cover or the Pat Petrillo variant.
The variant. See, we already worked it in.
Done.
First of all, thanks for having me. It's really great that we communicated via Instagram. Everybody give me a follow at Pat P Drummer. And it's great. Thank you for having me on. It's great to see you
Thank
virtually.
you for being here. It's an
My
honor.
pleasure.
I'm
I'm
very
ready.
excited. I've
Hit me,
just
Kira.
been warming up.
I
I've been
saw
warming
that.
up to your Drumeo video.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
love it. Bloody love it. It's great.
Very cool.
I've still got more left, so that's what I'm going to do after
Yeah, I
tonight.
only
That's
have
my
about
entertainment.
I probably have about 200 lessons in there in Drumeo. There's so many.
Okay, so, Pat, what do you think is missing from drum education today?
What is missing? Wow. Uh, in drum education, that's actually very interesting. I've been doing this for a minute, playing and teaching, etc. Right? So, I don't think there's much missing because you can find anything you want out there. What's missing is I think we are a little too fast to absorb information as gospel out there. I think we have to be careful. So there's a word I'm looking for. I can't find it, but we have to be a little bit more selective in our process of what information we get. So it's not like what's missing, but how do you sift through all the information to get to the stuff that's real and not fluff and not stuff that's not relevant to you at your point in time in your development, because it's very easy to get caught up in a lot of information. Too much information running through my brain, as the police said. So there's way too much information, and I think what's missing is a filter. I think that's probably what's missing in drum education is a filter. I think there needs to be some sifting. There needs to be some balance, and there needs to be more more due process, more more of also, I think, more individual work from a personalized standpoint. I think, for somebody to get really better, you need that person to work and see you individually as opposed to you just absorbing all this information and turning into this eight-armed drumming monster beast. And you just, you know, there's just too much stuff. So I think that you need to have a filter, and you need to maybe get with somebody who can really like hone in on what you need individually, because what's good for the masses may not be best for you.
So
That's what I think.
basically, uh, in one word, I would say what's missing is an actual teacher.
Yeah, you know, listen, drum, I have a pretty a broad scope of my career, like in what I've done, and it's like how I got from point A to point B. I went around the block a million times. So, but I have my degree I have a master's actually in music secondary education. So, I was in college for percussion and got all that and studied mallets and was in jazz band and percussion ensemble, all that stuff. Got my master's in teaching and how to communicate. So to me, communication is the key. And then how to disseminate that information, but then also how to separate and how to compile it in a logical way to get from point A to point B. And so I really agree with that. It's like an individual teacher, I still think, is relevant and very important. I hear a lot from people who are on various sites, Drumeo, etc. Those of you probably know me, may know me from Drumeo and all the lessons I have up in there and the appearances that I've been on there. But I hear a lot from them. It's like there's so much stuff. Like what? How do I know what's good for me? And only you know that. I mean, only you know that you can't play this funky beat, or you can't play this ghost note, or you can't do. Is it okay if I drum?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
I just thought I'd ask. I mean,
After all, this is about drumming, I think.
yeah. I mean, like the thing is for me, like if this is where you are, if that's where your thing is, the next step would be adding a couple more ghost notes. Not this would not be the next step. You understand what I'm saying?
Perfectly.
Completely.
So that's where we're missing. We're trying to make that giant leap, and because we want stuff like this. We're not willing to go to that systematic thing and staying on something for a long time. And when I say a long time, for some people a day is a long time. I mean like a month or whatever, and add like 2 or 3 new variations of the groove. And another thing is, and I might be rambling a bit, but I'll stop here after this point. A lot of people bounce around from like funk to Brazilian to Afro-Cuban to now I'm going to do jazz, now I'm going to do this, now I'm going to do that. It's like when you study a style, it's not a beat, it's a culture. It's a genre of music. So you can't just like today I'm going to learn to play samba. Or this week I'm going to learn to play samba. No, you ain't. Not in a week you're not. Or not in a month you're not.
I'm Brazilian, I'm 52, and I still cannot play samba.
You understand what I'm saying? So, hey, that's the thing is, I'm sure you can play pretty well, but I'm saying is you can't learn this stuff like that. And so what's lacking is patience with drummers. That's
I
that.
think that's also part of the culture we're living because everything on the internet seems like instant because there's
Mm.
no one showing the work that goes behind it.
Yeah,
The-
yeah, and we also don't like stuff that's boring, quote unquote.
Mm.
And I had a conversation with Seamus from Drumeo Gab like about a year ago when he was still doing it, and we were talking about the internet and talking about videos and you know and it's like your stuff is like relevant, like when you play something that's purposeful and you're playing, you sound musical and you're not really like overdoing it or what have you, although there's some nice tasty stuff in there. And it's like I tend to not do dig me videos. I try to, and that's an easy thing to do. That's like low hanging fruit. Those who have facilities show that and boom. And then everybody wants to do that, but they don't know how to get there. That's the problem. So I told him, I said, I think sometimes with this whole new thing that's going on here is that a lot of times young drummers in general, not even young, but are manipulating the instrument for others to dig you. You understand what I'm saying? Like you're using the instrument to come up with this stuff just so that others can dig you instead of playing the instrument for other reasons of like, in other words, some people are sitting down and saying, man, they're gonna dig the heck out of this, boy. Man, they're gonna love this. And that's all well and good, but that's why I say if Seamus was like mine head blown. So, you know, I try not to do that for the instrument. I try to be as respectful to music, but play the instrument musically at all times and not try to, manipulate it for likes, you know.
Yep.
I don't know.
Kira?
Completely.
Maybe I should manipulate it to get more likes and follows. I don't know. I'm just saying,
No.
you know.
I have a question about social media, actually. Um, how important do you think it is for someone, maybe a young drummer who's looking to have a career in music? Think it's necessary?
Oh man, well, I mean, it's like the only way. I mean, it seems like, but you know, it's such for me. It's hard because having been in the industry so long, like I did one of the first instructional videos ever in '87, the snare drum rudiments, you know,
I
with
remember that.
DCI music video, which was turned into Hudson Music. It was like my video, Steve Smith, Gad, and a few. It was like 7 other videos. So for me, you know, and I was only 9 at the time, so no, I'm joking. I'm joking. No, but it's come such a long way for to make a career in that social media drummer is a thing. I don't know how people are monetizing it, if they are, if people are putting lessons up and getting, you know, 99-cent packs or whatever. Um, so hey, the way I look at it, if you can monetize it, I think that's the thing. People like give away a lot of stuff on the internet, on their Instagrams and stuff like that, all this information, and I don't really know if they're monetizing it, you know, like, because people getting for free, so why should they pay even $1.99 for your lesson if you're just going to give it to them anyway? So,
I know,
you
yeah.
know,
I understand that.
Mm.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
mean, you know, it's so I it's is it important? Uh, I don't know if it's important. What's more important is if you play the instrument with other people and you get out and play gigs. That's what's important. But at the same time, you can use it as a big fat calling card, sure. And then with that said, be careful what you put on that calling card. In
Yeah.
other words, I see people putting out videos and I just go, you didn't, don't, you didn't need to do that. Not a good idea. Not a good look, you know. Don't put, you know, listen, it's great to show your progress, but at the same token, you only get one shot to make a first impression. Like, unless you definitively say this is a practice video, warning, practice video, you know, it's, I always say, always put your best foot forward because you never know who's watching that video, who's gonna maybe want to use you or whatever, or want to hook up. And could be a local musician who literally is in your town who says, "Hey, this drummer lives by me, and I need a gig. I need a drummer for next week." So it's a necessary. I don't even want to say evil because it's here. It's not going anywhere. So yeah, I mean, it's important, but use it judiciously and just wisely and I don't know. It's such a wild west out there, you know. I mean, I think I honestly think people learn to do silly stuff on the drums just to get likes. And is that helping their progress? No, but if that's what they want to do to have fun and they work a 9 to 5 and this is just something just to have, you know, a giggle with, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, you know. But if this is like a serious thing and it's art that you do and you've studied your whole life on, you know, I tend to not use the instrument, like I said, to manipulate other people to dig me.
Yeah, I was. It just when you said people are doing silly things, it just came to mind. Some years ago, there was this kind of viral video of a drummer doing a solo, and at some point he was balancing a hairbrush on his head,
Wow.
and it was viral because of that. And I was like, why?
Yeah, it's crazy, right? It's
Mm.
like Steve, you know, it's like Steve, especially if the dude was bald. But
Yeah.
but anyway, but why do you need a hairbrush anyway? But uh, but like Steve, the drummer, the wacky guy who you know what does all the groove stuff and the hi
Oh,
hat.
him.
So like
Yes.
he's a Ludwig artist, I believe, and so is he. We were I think last time I was at NAMM and we were doing the signings and stuff, and he was there. He goes, "Hey, Pat," and I was like, because I didn't really know who he was. Like, I hadn't seen it. People were telling me afterwards, like, "Hey, you gotta see this dude's video." He goes, "Oh man, I learned from your videos and this and that. My name's Steve," and then somebody showed me, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And he told me his band is like that's part of their shtick. He wasn't doing that like I guess to be in a video or whatever. People were videoing, but that's like their shtick, sort of. You know what I mean? So,
Mm.
but at the same time, he's holding it down. You know, it's no different than Tommy Lee. Like whatever. It's kind of the same vibe. It's the same thing. It's just a difference. It's a wedding band setting or whatever it is. You know. So I feel as if it's important and there's no problem. Just you have to be careful of. Listen, and I'll say this one last thing then on this topic with this is if you're an aspiring drummer, right, and which is kind of I think your question, like younger and coming up, that you have to remember that there's other people. When I say young, you're a teenager or whatever it may be, and you want to get in a band, you want people to notice you or companies and what have you. You have to make sure then you have quality control on your stuff that's going out. You have quality control and say, hey, I don't want to look like a fool. I don't want to look back on this a year from now and say that was dumb. And just think before you do stuff. And I've always sort of prided myself on my reputation and you know, and just try to be as you have to be boring or anything, but just don't be stupid for no reason. Because the companies don't want stupid people representing them. Like acting stupid and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that dude Steve is stupid. Like I was saying, I feel as if he was. That's part of their thing. That's part of their act, their shtick, and I think it's very cool.
Mm.
So
True.
Good.
Also in terms of quality control, I think is and that goes back to the beginning when you were talking about genres of music. Is try to listen if somebody calls you for a blues gig, try to listen some blues before you play with that people with
yeah,
those people.
I'll even take that a step further. Is if that's not your bag, don't take the gig.
Mm.
Don't. I mean,
I agree.
if I don't take the gig. I mean, if somebody calls you, hey man, this is a straight ahead, we're gonna be swinging, a little bit of bossa, and you're like a rock drummer primarily, and you're not gonna bone up on that stuff in a week. That's a sure way to never get called again, you know. So unless you know that stuff, just politely decline and say it's kind of not my thing right now. I appreciate it, but this is kind of where I'm at musically and where my comfort zone is, and let them know, so they know what you're capable of doing, and there's no dishonor in that because that's the last thing you want to do is show up and like just poop all over the drums, like
It
you know that's
stinks.
that's not it's going to smell, and it's not going to smell good. So you want to be you want to be very careful with with what gig that you do take. So.
Yeah.
I think that's such a good point, and I feel like it's not mentioned enough actually, because certainly for me, learning, um, I was all a bit overwhelmed by, oh, I need to learn this, I need to learn this, I need to do this, and be able to do all the things. And then it was like, well, actually, no, I don't have time to do everything. I want to be good at the
You know,
things I enjoy, and do those
that's a great
gigs.
point. Absolutely. And so that goes back to what I was just demonstrating, before. It's like, you can't bounce around from point A to this, and now I'm going to do this week, and I'm going to do this. Just, you know, find out what's good, what works, and what's going to make you work in your neighborhood, in your general vicinity. Like if you're, no matter where you live, what kind of gigs? Okay, there's this cover band that does this, that, da, 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 da. So you need to get with some of the new stuff. If it's a '90s band, you need to get with the '90s stuff. If it's an R&B band, you better know some James Brown. You better know some Motown and all that. You know, if it's a stray cat's kind of like jungle jungle boonga boogaloo shuffle thing, then you better know that. But if none of that's part of the act, then just get real good at what you are and put that stuff on the burner. Okay, I'm working on that. I'm working on that. And don't bring it out till it's ready.
Yeah.
Don't bring it out till it's ready.
Patience.
That's what we're missing. So this goes back to your first question now, doesn't it? So that's
What's
what.
missing drum education? Patience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's
Ain't that
true.
right? It's really, really important. Patience in learning. I have people like I teach obviously online here. I have like 3 camera shoots and stuff, but I have people that come in here from. I live in New Jersey, like in the middle of the state. So I get people from New York City. I get people from Philly. They come in the door and sit down in front of me, and they commit to once a week, an hour, hour and a half hour. Some are just one-offs. And I try to tell them you can't fit 10 pounds of bricks in a 5-pound bag. Not going to work. So we're going to just take what we got and we're going to work with what your deficiency is. If you have multiple deficiencies, tackle 1 to 2 maybe at a time. Don't fret that you can't play clave with your left foot in Afro-Cuban music. I still can't do it, and I never worked on it. I have another story about that. Double bass. I don't play double bass. I always worked my right foot to be as good as it can be, and I did it in a systematic way because I don't play music that requires that. Now, if I did, I would be shedding it, but I never have and really don't. It doesn't mean I can't play, but I can't go. I don't have that need. I don't have the musical like necessity to do that. So that takes away from other stuff, foundational stuff that I should be working on, right? So, my first, like I would say, big pop gig was Patti LaBelle. And I'll never forget at rehearsals, the tech showed up and he had the other guys sort of rig up there and he had a double pedal. And I was like, oh man, I don't really play double pedal. He goes, well, how are you gonna do doom tack doom 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 tack doom doom tack doom 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 tack doom doom, which was the thing like in like the big New Jack Swing, like how you gonna do that, I said like this. He took that double pedal away and said, okay, man, I got you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I just
Well,
worked my right foot as best that I could. And I didn't have that double pedal up there that messed up everything. Like, it just made the whole kit feel different for me. So I didn't bother, So
yeah,
that's the
being
thing.
a rock drummer, I can say that John Bonham never used a double pedal to play good times, bad times.
Absolutely. I'm not saying that it's not important because obviously it is for certain things.
Yeah, if you're
But
gonna play with Metallica, it's essential.
yeah, man. And I think that if you're going to play speed and stuff like that, you need to have that functionality. I'll give you another one, like some kind of thing like push pull technique or some crap. So I said crap, so you already know where I'm going with this. So
I like it.
so I was teaching. I taught a drummers collective in New York for many years. Before then, I went and played. I toured. I did Broadway. Then I went back and I was there for another 10 years. And I left about 5 years ago. So this push pull thing's been going around. And I had students. I had dudes who couldn't like play like even really even 16th notes, like really smooth, like real even, consistent 16th notes. But they're steady working on this damn stupid whatever the hell it is. Excuse my language. And so they come in their lessons and they're just not even, but I've been working on push pull all the time. It's like, that's like a fringe like technique. And why are you wasting all your time on that, man, when you have so many other things that are more important? That's what I'm saying. It's like prioritizing what's important to your development. You know, you sit there, somebody else sitting there going, well, that is not going to get you really anywhere. It's not important.
Mm.
Fast singles are overrated anyway. You know,
Yeah.
you don't need to sit there and have lightning fast single strokes. Drummers, you don't need to play fast single strokes. Say that 10 times. I don't need to play fast singles. You don't need to do it. It's not important. So that technique is like a fringe technique. Sliding on your pedal, heel toe. That's fringe technique. That's something that can maybe supplement, but that's not going to be the foundation of your technique, because sliding, you can't slide slow.
Mm.
You can slide, you use it for when you want to play fast, but you don't do that when you play boom, 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 ba, boom, boom. That, or normal bass drum, right? You play either heel down or heel up, whatever your preference. So you don't need to focus on stuff that's cool and fringe and, oh, he's doing it, or that looks slick. Most of that stuff is not going to develop this inside of you, like musically, your grounding, your technique, all of that stuff. The most important part of your drumming. None of that stuff is going to matter. It looks cool, but it's a waste of time. I mean, guys will sit there for hours working on this thing. Man, it's, you know,
Yeah, I've never heard the story of a drummer who's being fired because just played a very good groove.
you know,
Exactly.
it, that's 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 it in a nutshell. And listen, and people say, "Oh, you're saying less is more." No, less is less, more is more, and what's right is right. Just play what's right. You know, it's not like less is more. What that's no, it's not less is more. It's just do what you need to do and get really good at it. Like if you like reading 10 books, you can't tell me what one of them means. But you just like speed read through 10 books. That's not impressive. Oh, I read 10 books this month. Yeah, well, get to the heart of what one of them says. Well, this one was kind of about, and then this one was kind of like, I think one had a detective in it, or, you know what I mean? It's
And
like that.
I'm laughing because my sister, I always be a bit envious of her because she's really smart and she like reads really quickly. And then I caught her out and I was like, wait a minute, you just read this book in like a day or whatever. And she just said, well, I skim read it. I don't,
You
I
got
just
the
kind of
Cliff
skipped a load of
Notes.
stuff.
Yeah, the Cliff Notes. You
Yeah.
know,
So I'm like,
I
okay,
was always
fine.
the kid was like, just give me the damn Cliff Notes. Let's cut to the chase. Let's get right to the abbreviated version. So anyway, so that's the biggest thing that I find in drum education, that there's not enough patience. There's too much information, which is a bad thing. With that information, people don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to prioritize it. They can't separate edutainment from education. So,
Oh, I love that. Say that again. That last bit.
what do you think? I remember what I said? No. I said people can't separate edutainment from education. It's that simple. It's people like, there's edutainment where people are showing shit. Gosh, I'm sorry. Showing, it's my jersey comes out. I'm sorry. They
Well,
show
you're from
Swear
New
all the
Jersey, right?
fuck you want. Yeah.
they show all of this stuff as edutainment. They call it under the guise of entertainment and education, and they call it, it's entertainment. So, um, and listen, there's, when there was a lot of drum clinics, when I was doing a bunch of drum clinics back in the day, and they've kind of dried up the past bunch of years for many reasons, but not to mention now past couple years of COVID. But there's a certain element of a clinic that you have to, like, you should do a solo. You should get their attention, and say hello. How you doing? I'm here, and that's part of it too. Is to show them what you can do with the instrument, what how, what your whatever your skill set is or whatever, to impress them, but also to sort of show off the drums so people can go buy drums in the store. You know, that's part of what a clinic is. It's supposed to be to hype people up to buy the gear that you're there to endorse and play. That being said, there's there's a certain element of that, but when that is all you do, it becomes a bit, again, self-serving. So, I had somebody tell me once, one of an artist relations guy, um, who will remain nameless, but said, "Man, sometimes you're too humble." I was like, "What? I didn't know there was such a thing. What are you talking about?" Well, like when you do a clinic and stuff, and you do a solo or whatever, and you just, you're overly thankful. You know, you you gotta have a little bit more confidence. It's like, I don't confuse confidence with humble. I mean, I'm confident in what I can do, but I don't think the two are like. I'm a humble. I try to stay humble as a drummer, as a person in general. But yeah, but sometimes you got to be a little bit more out there. You know what I'm trying to say? That's what he was trying to get to me to get. And I was like, all right, but it's kind of not in my nature. You know what I mean? To do that. So some people are just the opposite. They just, it's like you just want to turn them down. They're always on 11. They're
Too
always on
many,
11.
I guess.
Listen, there's a lot of good stuff out there though too. There's a lot of excellent drummers and playing a lot of great stuff. And for me, being in the game for a minute, it's great when you get messages, sometimes from people. Hey man, I seen, it's great to kind of connect here. I've watched your stuff over the years, learned a lot of stuff and this and that. There's one of these dudes who's got like all these followers and stuff, and I'm like, well, that's great, man. You kind of, you know, tip the cap. That's always appreciative, of people who've been, I guess doing it for a minute. Like me, like I learned a lot from Peter Erskine. I studied with him when I got back home from college, and I was in the city in the Drummers Collective, and I studied privately with him for a long time, and I could swing, but I couldn't like swing, you know, like I could swing, and I had all this facility, but I'll give you a perfect example. And I know you maybe have some more questions, but I'll give you this one more example. Like
Feel free, give all the examples you want.
he I had just come out of college and big band and stuff, so and I had studied the Chapin book, all of this stuff. All that facility and stuff. You go through. Here you go, Pete. Here's page 35. You know what I mean? You could recite each page. You know what I mean? But it just was. This wasn't like. This wasn't happening. This wasn't happening. So facility right off the bat just tell you right there doesn't mean a damn thing. Facility don't mean shit. You don't need to go through none of that Chapin stuff to be a good jazz drummer. Jimmy Cobb.
Mm.
That's all you need, man, But Peter broke me down like this. So first he told me to play time. It was right about here, and I proceeded to do all that, I'm doing all of this, my best Elvin impression in all these books. And he goes, okay, cool. Let's try it again. 1, 2. I was like, what? I didn't know. I was used to playing all this shit. I couldn't play that slow. There's no way, But he taught me how to like just, just stuff like that, just again, peeling back the onion, peeling back the layers so that you just are playing from a musical standpoint, not a technical standpoint. So there's that.
Uh, I know Kira's gonna kill me because she's a massive Buddy Rich fan, but for me, the most impressive thing I've ever heard in jazz is Jimmy Cobb's crash on So What, the first crash.
First note, man.
The sound that cymbal makes in the way. Yeah, there he is.
There
See
he
that
is.
autograph?
Yeah,
See
Hello.
that autograph?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Would you like to have
I
one of those,
I
Kira?
met him when I was about
Yeah.
14, 15, and I was he was doing his tour thing, and he was all through the country and doing bussing all over the place. And I was never a huge Buddy Rich fan either growing up because I didn't really know who he was. I was too busy listening to the Beatles, and then James Brown,
Mm.
and then Parliament Funkadelic, and then Asia, Steve Gadd, and Chick Corea. When I met him, here's my Buddy Rich story. Ready? Kira's
Yeah,
gonna
go
love it.
ahead.
So
I'm ready.
it was raining. Remember that. So we got there early. There's a few of us. I was in drum corps, and a few of us from the drum and bugle corps went, and was in a friend's car. We got there, pull up. It was raining, and ran in, and we were way early. I mean, at least 2 hours early. So we get to the venue there and get inside. They're like, "Oh man, they're not even set up yet. We have to get our tickets." They go back in the car. It's like I'm looking in there. There he's Buddy Rich, setting up his stuff. No roadie, doing his thing, setting it up, moving. At least I didn't see a roadie. I'm sure maybe somebody brought it in. But so now the doors are open to it's like a hotel, like ballroom kind of place, right? So I peep in and I'm creeping. I look over, I creep in a little bit more, and he's like putting the stuff in and putting the stuff on. And he caught me, and I was like, "Oh, I'm busted." He goes, "You coming to the show?" Something like that. And I said, "Yeah, yes, sir." Put the stuff together. Tickets are outside or something. Okay, yes, sir. And I'm still standing. He goes, "You a drummer?" I say, "Yes." "Yeah. You know your rudiments?" "Yes, I'm in drum corps." "Oh, you're in drum corps. Oh, that's good. And you know your rudiments. Just gotta learn your rudiments." Didn't say anything about jazz. He said, "Learn your rudiments." Yeah, yes, sir. "You in school?" "Yes." "Okay, good. All right. The tickets are over there." And I walked out. I was like, "Damn. All right, buddy. I got some love from Buddy." Okay. So we all get in. Later on we watch the shows. Pyrotechnics and just blistering. I never heard a band like that in my life, right? So then after he's signing, you can buy his program book and stuff, and he's signing. Got a chair there, and he's signing his autograph. So, walked in. He's sitting there. I don't remember if I might have took his hand. I don't remember. "Oh, okay, how you doing?" And he recognized me. He goes, I said, "Oh, it was great." He goes, "Oh, you're the kid from before, huh?" I said, "Yes." "Well, how'd you like it?" I said, "Oh, it was great, sir." He goes, "Okay, great." He signs the thing, gives it back to me. He goes, "Don't forget those rudiments." "Yes, sir. No problem. I will." And I'm like, you know. But that's the only time I really got to meet him, and see him was then. I was like 15, 16.
Cool.
But that's pretty cool.
Wow. Jealous.
Quite a dude. Quite a dude.
Why did you record at Abbey Road Studio 2?
You mean this record here?
Yes, that record here.
Okay, so this record is my band, NYC Big Rhythm Band, the Abbey Road Sessions. So if you were here right now, you'd see 5, 10, 15, the 16 Beatles records, American releases on my wall right here. So that should probably answer your question.
Okay, but
But
let's go into a little bit more detail.
yeah. So I basically started when I was about 4 or 5, and I have two much older brothers, and one was in a band. My brother in front of me was in a band. He's like 15 years older than me, and they were practicing in the basement at that time, talking, mid to late 60s. In actuality, they were almost breaking up, that time. But they were playing all the classics, and I would just sit there and learn, listen to music. He had all his records, and he just play them all the time. So I would listen, and I would knew all the lyrics. Form, you name it, I knew it, because it was just every day, like a couple hours a day. I'd play different. I just dropping a needle on the record all the time, and that's the first beat, that I learned. And they'd have their drummer was leave his drum set at our house sometimes, or I'd go with him to their practice. I mean, that's all I could do for years, and just learned how to play all of that stuff, and so they were just in my DNA growing up. And then AM radio, hearing all that, Carly Simon and James Taylor and just really good, pop music, and then I was about 10 or 12, I got my first James Brown 8-track. So I went from Ringo to Jabbo and Clyde Stubblefield in like one afternoon, So, and I learned all that stuff. So my DNA is a little bit mixed, but that's why, I always wanted to record there. So, we had a few Beatles arrangements that we do in our shows. So when it came down to it, I was like, well, we want to do a record, so let's do it at Abbey Road. So I just, did a fun crowdsourcing, and we got the bread and
Excellent.
wrote a bunch of more arrangements. And yeah, sat where he sat. Used a couple of the same microphones, the D20s they had. Like Ludwig was like, okay, we'll get you a newer kit over there. I said, no, I don't want a new kit. I need an old kit. I want a kit from the 60s. So we went to John Henry's, and they had a nice, I think, 66 Ludwig there. Wasn't Black Oyster, blue. I think it was blue. But nonetheless, we did Magical Mystery Tour. And the other thing was, I wanted to use the actual pianos that were on these records, because very, very signature,
Yeah.
So we did Lady Madonna. We used the piano. Magical Mystery Tour, Martha My Dear, Savoy Truffle, which actually was not recorded at Abbey Road, but we did it anyway. We did a great version of Sexy Sadie, Obladi Oblada, which I call Obladi Oblaska, because we did kind of like a ska version of it. Got to Get You Into My Life. So we did a bunch of tunes, really fun arrangements, and I think it's a great sounding record. And it just was, thanks to people who helped crowdsource it. Now my new record, we just recorded at the Power Station in New York, and it's a very New York-centric record, so there's a lot more originals, but a lot of variety of styles. We did covers that we do. Black Cow by Steely Dan. We did a cover of what else did we do? It's escaping me at this moment. We did a bunch of originals though. So
Cool.
Big Man on Mulberry Street, which is a Billy Joel tune.
Yeah.
We did a great big band arrangement for that.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, you were gonna say?
So both albums people can get on your website,
Yeah,
right?
well, this new record's not out yet, but this one you
Okay.
can get on Amazon. Yeah.
Okay.
You can get the CD. I'm sure they still have a few CDs as well as the digital download on Amazon. It's
Cool.
not on iTunes. I didn't want to put the whole record on iTunes because I wanted to make some money.
Yeah, that's
So I
sometimes a good
told the
idea.
label, just give a sample or just put 3 or 4 songs out there, and if they like it, then they should go and buy it.
Yeah.
So
Excellent.
thank you for asking. But it's a fun record, and it was just very, it took me a minute, like an hour or so, just kind of okay, breathe deep, because the first few takes were like, damn, you wait all this time and you're sucking like that. Get it together, dude. You know. So I was just too nervous. You know, I was just like, damn, like I'm here. You know, this little boy from Jersey is like in Mecca. You know. So
Yeah.
that's how I was feeling. You know, but it came out good, I think.
Great.
And you know, so the next record we're I'm finishing tomorrow, a few more tracks, and then we have a couple of labels we're shopping, and this one we wanna go a little further because we got a bunch of radio play on this. Sadly, when this record came out, like COVID hit like 6 months later, 8 months later. So we were planning gigs because of festivals because stations were playing it around the country and they usually have jazz festivals and stuff, and then stuff just went. So
Mm.
Yeah, we know too well. The reason this podcast is called Drum Education Live
mm,
is because me, Kira, and a friend of ours, Mark, who's not with us anymore in the
oh,
podcast, he's alive, but not in the podcast.
okay.
Our idea was let's take drum clinics to the masses, even if we have to pay for it,
Mm-hmm.
And then COVID hit, and it became a podcast.
Nice. Oh, that's great. And you're doing a fantastic thing. And I think
Thank
that,
you.
to reach out to many different drummers that, you know, um, people might see, the videos of or what have you, either via Instagram or Drumeo or whatever.
Yeah.
And, because I guess you could say people that know me or my audience spans, well, I give away my age too much, probably, probably 40 years. It's pretty heavy.
It is.
Yeah. So like when I was in my early 20s, maybe not quite. What am I talking about? 30, let's say 30 years or so.
Okay.
So, so yeah, so it's quite, there's people who now it's like, oh wow, cool. I've seen you before. That's cool. They're young people. They don't really know the history of where people are. They just know what they see.
Yeah.
Oh, who's this guy? You don't expect everybody to know who you are just because you've been doing it for a while. So, but I have a
Mm.
quite didn't like yourself. You knew me from my video back in the day, right? The
Exactly. Yeah.
rudiments
Yep.
video,
Hmm.
and so many people come up to me and say, "Hey, I've learned my rudiments watching your videos." It's great.
It is.
So but that's the thing, you got to constantly change lanes. You got to always, to make a career and a living in the industry, you have to be in the industry. Whether it's Broadway, like if you look at my wall here, like I did one, two, three, four, five different six different Broadway shows as a sub, one as a tour, um, pop artist, and different people's records I played on, teaching, clinics, products like I designed the P4 practice pad
Yeah. Hmm.
that you see on Drumeo, and
Yeah.
the Zildjian organic ride. I designed that, the 21-inch organic. And just to be, you have to have your irons in a lot of different fires. And again, relationships are really important. And, um, you know, good reputations travel just like bad reputations. So,
Exactly.
you always, those people who are just getting into it, just always remember that there is always somebody doing it before you. There'll be somebody after you. You know,
Exactly.
you're
Yeah.
not the first, you won't be the
Yeah.
last. You're not the worst, and you're not the best. There's no
Yeah.
such thing. And just keep that in mind. Just keep that and just keep it on. And it's because those all that stuff is, well, arguments. None of that matters. There's no such thing as any of that stuff. And it's like even with the internet, you're not the first one to do this orchestration. Keep that in mind. How many times I've seen some people, I won't go there, but somebody actually ripped a groove that I did on my Instagram, somebody that you all know, and put it up there note for note. And I know he didn't come up with that off the top of his head. And somebody actually posted on my Instagram, oh, that's blah, 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 blah's groove. And I was like, well, I just reposted. This was from August. this is my video from August, so I'm not sure, you know, And it was like, always credit where you learn something. If you hear
Yeah.
somebody doing something, just say, hey, man. And I do it all the time, whether it's a Steve Gadd lick. I have a Steve Gadd story I won't bore you with, but, like, um, and I told him, how much stuff I've learned from him, And anytime I do something that's remotely related to a Gadd lick or to a Tony lick or from anybody, even a newer guy, I may have seen, I don't know, somebody, Justin Scott, I might have seen him do something. I was like, hey, this is a cool thing I've seen Justin do, and this is how I'm going to do it, or whatever. Always credit somebody that you learned it from. It's respectful, it's courteous, it keeps you in the right frame because inevitably somebody's going to see it and say, wait a minute,
Yeah.
that was in Pat's book. That's page 34 of those orchestrations or
Exactly.
whatever. And it comes back. And it
It does.
has. You know
It
what I'm
does.
saying? And I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
mind that. That's the reason why I wrote Hands, Grooves, and Fills. You want to learn all those orchestrations. That's great. You say, hey, I learned these and now I'm going to turn them around or I'm going to do this. That's great. Steve Smith, standing on the shoulders of giants, right? Always says that.
That's
I think
that's a
that's another thing that's missing from drum education. It's just like plagiarism is bullshit these days. They need to stop with that and just come clean, man. And just you ain't the first one to do that shit. I mean, come on.
I
But they
agree.
act,
And when they say, "Oh, I call this is something I came
you
up
know,
with. I call it the Kira thingy." No, you didn't. You just
yeah,
called it a silly name. It's been around for before you were born. You
right.
know.
It's been there, and especially see that resonates with people who've been around for a while, like industry people, like A&R reps from different companies.
yeah,
You think they're
exactly.
stupid?
No, they're not.
They've been around the
No.
block. They know where that shit comes from. Don't front, as we say, right? Don't front. Don't sit there and say I created this. You learned it from somebody else, and this is my thing, or do something, do a groove that's so like. I mean, how many times are we going to hear somebody try to teach somebody 50 ways? I mean, right? And everybody knows it's Steve Gadd. We're just, that's one thing. Please don't teach, nobody teach 50 ways. That's my New Year's resolution. Please, nobody try to teach 50 ways to leave your lover anymore. Done. We know how it goes. And if you can't play it, don't do a damn video of you cutting it up. Don't do that. That's not a good look.
Yeah,
Don't
great.
do it.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to like
Agreed.
hate on people. I'm trying to say discretion is a better form of valor. Have some discretion. Say, I'm not going to put my lame ass ways of 50 ways to leave your lover out there for people to, don't do that.
I
Just
know.
don't. I'm sorry.
Great.
I don't
I
know.
love it. It's great.
I don't
All
know.
right, sir. It
Thank
that's
you.
all that's all the time we have. Thank you very much. It was amazing. Amazing, amazing.
It's great
Thank
to talk to you, and I really appreciate you having me on. And now we are friends for life. We're hooked up.
or
Next time I'm out in the UK, we are
let us know,
absolutely.
Yes,
and
please.
you might be surprised. We might visit you.
Come on out to New York, wear your mask, and you'll be all right.
Cool.
We
Yeah,
will.
we're actually all really doing pretty good out here. So I think, God willing, everybody stay safe. Let's get through this together. Be respectful of one another, and hopefully we'll come out on the other side and we can get back to live shows and everything else.
Exactly. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Indeed. Thank you so much.
Peace and love. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.